What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. So the NFC South win totals have been released. We'll use the DraftKings number for today because the article that we read on CBS uses DraftKings numbers, but I'm sure all the books have similar numbers here, Jake. And the New Orleans Saints check in at third on the list, a 7.5 win total for the Saints. But before we get there, let's go through the other teams and see if we believe or not. The Falcons leading the way at 9.5. Of course, they got Kirk Chains. Great skill positions, or in theory, they have great skill players. They added some skill in the offseason as well. They get the new coach bump in Raheem Morris, I think, a little bit, right? Where it's like, it seems like he's kind of got the locker room behind him. He's young, well, not as young as he was when he was a head coach, but, you know,
Still
it's
young,
his second, It's still relatively young. It's his second opportunity here. 9.5 does feel a bit presumptuous. I mean, 10 wins. Are they Falcons? Are the Atlanta Falcons a 10-win team?
Well, so it's tough because of everything you said, and you start to think about, okay, what's the roster look like? And I think that an average fan would be surprised with how much potential star power they have with the Falcons. Like your offense, like Drake London, he's not there yet, but he could be, right? We've talked about Bijan Robinson. He's not there yet, but he could be. Kirk Cousins does solidify a lot of things.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts hasn't been there, but he can be. So there's a lot of potential there. So
Cousins
I can understand.
should unlock those guys.
That's what your hope is that not for us here doing this show, but if you're a Falcons fan, and then you get Darnell Mooney to come over to be a nice, secondary weapon. You trade for Rondale Moore from Arizona to come over to give you another weapon. So, like on paper, they have the ability to go out there and be a really good team, certainly on offense, but can Kirk Cousins get the most out of these weapons? Like you misused Bijan Robinson about as bad as you could last year.
Yeah.
Like he would have flashes and then it would go away. And that's a player that you drafted in the top 10 at a position that doesn't get drafted in the top 10 because you got to be that kind of a player. And we all assumed that he was going to be, and you didn't allow him to go out there and show it. And then
why don't you think Bijan Robinson got touches?
Arthur Smith's not a great coach.
I mean, is it that simple? Like,
I think he just wanted to use the bigger back, and
did Bijan not know what to do? Were there MAs?
You never know. I mean, it's a great point when you're not in the meeting room.
I just can't fathom that an NFL head coach could be like, I don't think this guy needs. I don't think this is our best path to winning.
You'd be surprised sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I mean, not often. Like, would you think that a top 10 pick? But like sometimes coaches they try to be the smartest guy in the room, and they try to like. Well, this top 10 pick, he's going to have to earn his way into this offense, or he's going to have to show me he can do this instead of just like allowing that player to go out there and do it. Like sometimes coaches leave the governor on the player so long and they don't take it off in time, and then that player never gets to their full potential. I'm not saying the player doesn't have some fault in it sometimes. Maybe it is missed assignments. Maybe it's pass protection issues. And like we drafted a running back in San Diego in the first round, and he was more talented than anybody in our room, but he didn't get on the field as much as he should have because pass protection, missed assignments, wasn't confident in the plays that he actually did know what to do, still wasn't confident enough, so he was a step behind. And so it turned into a situation where it was me and Mike Tolbert, and I was in front of him playing fullback, and he was 20 pounds heavier than me, but that gave us the best chance at that time to win because Mike knew exactly what to do. He was talented enough to do those things. And like sometimes you wait too long and then you don't put enough on that rookie's plate and you don't challenge him enough to go out there and be the guy because you're like, look, we got to win now. And I get that mentality too. I don't know if that's the case with Bijan Robinson, but I know he's incredibly talented. And I know that you didn't use him near enough a year ago.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be the year that will answer that question, right? Like if they empower him and he balls out, well then, yes, it was Arthur Smith. If for some reason in the new regime he's still not getting the touches, well then Bijan's got to look in the mirror a little bit. Okay, final answer before we go to break, and we'll continue this on the other side. Over under Falcons 9.5. Final answer, I'm going to go under. 10 feels a little much. This is without looking at the schedule.
Yeah, I'm going to go under because I feel like 9's a sweet spot for him.
Yeah.
Like 9 just feels like the right number. If it went over 9.5, though, I know some people would be surprised by that. I would not. I mean, they were 7-10 last year with bad quarterback play.
Yeah,
Is
that's
Kirk
true.
Cousins worth
That's true.
3 wins?
That's true. Probably. I mean, it feels like he should be. Certainly with the contract. But we'll and then the Cousins health thing, is relevant as well. How good are you going to feel coming off an Achilles? Tay, before we get a break, over under.
Under. A lot of potential. Too many question marks for me, though.
Alondra, do you care to answer?
Under.
Okay. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Taylor, coming in next on the list at 8.5. And I'm going to say, my initial instinct here was, Baker's going to take a step back, blah, blah, blah. But then I'm like, well, actually, hold on. You got Liam Cohen to replace Dave Canales, and Liam Cohen and Baker worked together before, and I think Cohen's good. You're running it back with some additions, which I think Kirk is having to work into a new situation, new head coach. Like you said, a lot of potential, but a lot of question marks there. A lot more known quantities with this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. I kind of like the over on Tampa's 8.5 here.
I don't hate that. It just feels like the most 9-win conference in the NFL.
I know.
Every team outside of the Panthers feels like 9 wins.
I know.
You're counting on Baker, obviously, to be able to replicate what he did a year ago. And that's going to be the biggest question mark. And look, there's a lot of question marks when it comes to the quarterback position in this division because, Kirk coming off the injury, the whole Michael Penix situation, Derek Carr has more issues than Vogue. And then, can Baker Mayfield, can he replicate? Is he good Baker? Is he okay Baker? Is he bad Baker? Which version are you going to get? I mean, because, again, they've got nice weapons. They've got receivers. They've got a great offensive line. They've got a tight end that will win you money if he scores the second touchdown of a game that you bet on. They've got all those things,
I think the one thing for me that made me go over here is last year they were 4-4 in one-score games. I thought maybe last year's record was juiced up by just winning a lot of close ones and that you'd have a comeback to earth. But I'm like, okay, no, they were exactly mathematically what you're supposed to be. So it doesn't seem like last year was a very fluky or a lot of luck. And so in that vein, I'll give them the over. Taylor, where are you at?
I kind of think 8.5. This is my favorite.
Well, the number's 8.5, dummy.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think this is like we were talking. Is 9.5 too high for the Falcons? I think this is the best over under.
Oh, to be clear, I don't think 9.5 is too high for the Falcons either. I think we're all feeling pretty fat and cocky. Everybody going under, but anyway.
To your point, though, you're talking about the one-score games. They had a lot of injuries in their secondary. I mean, I think going into the playoffs, 2 backup cornerbacks were starting. They're healthier. They re-sign Antoine Winfield, who might be the best safety in the NFL. That dude's phenomenal. Yeah. And then, you lose Dave Canales, who was awesome with Baker. But Baker and Liam Cohen were together with the Rams, and he had to come in and learn that system on the fly and actually played pretty well with the Rams, all things considered.
Yeah, it's crazy, that Thursday night game.
Yeah, he was on the team for 5 minutes.
He signed Monday, started Thursday.
Yeah, him and Cohen have some familiarity together. Mike Evans is back. Rashad White was a lot better at the end of the year running the ball than at the beginning.
They drafted Bucky Irving, too.
They drafted Bucky Irving, who's apparently pushing for playing time. They drafted an O-lineman in the first round, which is probably their weakness on offense.
Yeah,
okay, hold on. We got to get the Saints to just give me an answer on the Bucks. Over, under 8.5.
I'm going to go over.
Okay. Alondra?
Yeah, over.
So we all are over.
Under.
I don't know.
No, I just I kind of agree with Jake where it feels like 9 is the sweet spot.
For this division.
Yeah.
So the Saints are at 7.5. What do you think about the Saints? I'm actually feeling more and more bullish about this Saints team. I absolutely believe that it will all go as the offensive line goes, and I understand that given everything that we know right now, the offensive line should be bad, but I just can't help but wonder in a more modern system with Kubiak at the helm, John Benton, a new O-line coach, kind of a fresh face where obviously Doug Marrone just wasn't connecting for whatever reason, even though he's a very good coach in his own right. I just wonder if that group isn't due for a rubber banding back to being average even, not to being great. And if you look at what they did last year, even being way below average, well, if you can be average, then I think you're going to hit 8 wins. So, yeah, I think there's actual value here. I would place a bet for the Saints to go over the 7.5. And It all comes down to that offensive line, Derek Carr and Kubiak, and how it all gels together.
Their defense is a 10-win defense. Their offense is a 7-win offense.
Their defense might be an 11-win defense. I mean, that's a damn good defense.
Because you didn't Fuaga is the only thing that you added to your offense.
Yeah.
Everything else is going to be the same receivers. It's going to be offensive linemen that were here maybe in different positions. Juwan Johnson. It's going to be Derek Carr. It's going to be Kamara.
And I hate
brought
to
in
be
another
that
fullback
guy,
just to point
but
that
the last 6 games, that crew was operating well together.
It was operating better than it was for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, the last 6 games, they were statistically one of the better offenses in the entire, they were a top 10 offense over the last 6 weeks. For whatever that's worth, was it a flash in the pan, fluky? Maybe so, but they were. Can that continue?
But this defense gives you hope, and that's what gives you the real desire to want to go over 7.5, because you start looking at the pieces that they had from a year ago, and they're still playing at an incredibly high level. I like bringing in Willie Gay from Kansas City. He gives you a physical toughness right there to go with DeMario Davis. When Pete Warner does maybe get injured because of his style of play, he has no respect for his body, which I appreciate, but he's going to miss games, and you got a Willie Gay that you can bring in. We talked about the defensive backfield, how creative you can get now that you drafted Kool-Aid to be that guy that can maybe play inside at nickel. Maybe he can play in the back ends. He can do a lot of different things for you. Jordan Howden, I think, is going to be a first and second down type of guy. We'll see what they do with him on third down. But Alontae Taylor, all these weapons that you have in the defensive backfield, that gives you hope that this defense can even go up, I think, another level. Bringing everybody back. Brian Brzee, what can you get from him in your number 2? A guy we never talk about and was great as a rookie.
Chase Young?
Chase Young's a question mark. Peyton Turner's the biggest, because you've gotten literally nothing from him, and you're not counting on him at all. But if you could get 3 sacks from Peyton Turner.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing about Peyton Turner, is that you were a top 10 defense last year without him.
Yeah.
So I don't really care. He's a lanyap guy at this moment. If he can give you anything, great, good, grand, wonderful. But I mean, no, look, and then you got DeMario Davis too. You have one of the best linebackers
who played as high as he's played in his career last year. He doesn't age.
Age does not touch him. He's an incredible leader. Intangibles off the chart. You still have the leadership of Cam Jordan as well. Yeah, 7.5 feels low, man. 7.5 feels low, even with DA at the helm. Am I sunshine pumping? Let me know. Okay, 30 seconds. Carolina 5.5. I'm thinking I'm going under. So I think at the end of the day, I'm under Falcons, over Bucks Saints, under Panthers. Do the Panthers hit 6 wins?
They're so bad. No.
Anybody think they hit 6 wins?
Nope.
Okay, there we go. There it is. Your NFC South win totals. Look, I would say I think the Saints get 8 at least. But I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm infected with the weekend or summer, but I've been feeling more and more positive about the Saints lately. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the 2 guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.